a powerful Dark Lord reborn as a child. And while he fights humanity's threat, he plans his rise to power once again. The year 447 of the Holy God calendar, an age of myth when gods, spirits, and sorcery ruled the world. Linus Death Magnus, the last of the demon lords, reigned over the capital city of Necrozoa. There, the battle between the demon lord and the army and the 6 heroes drew to a close. A mate of the demon lord, Linus, explains the current situation of all their allies being defeated and that the 6 heroes are currently focusing their offensive on. A talking wolf explains that the beast and goblin lord have both been defeated and that this stronghold Deathhold is the only one remaining. What in the Clash of Clans? The 6 heroes start to attack Deathhold with full force. Linus gets restless, but the wolf stops him and advises him that he is the final demon lord and that he and the goddess of rebellion, Roselia, do not want him to fall here. In final desperation, Linus decides to accept defeat but vows to claim his seat on the throne in 1,000 years. 1,000 years in the future, 2 girls arrive at familiar-looking ruins and head inside. They are given a rundown of their mission to investigate and find the void nest on their communicators. The silver-haired Celia reports that they have reached the 7th floor of the ruins, and there have been no signs of void activity. Her comms get cut out in the middle of the report. She was definitely using WhatsApp. Regina, the blonde-haired girl, tells Celia not to get carried away. Celia replies, saying they must not let voids run wild. They see some statues in their way. Celia explains that these are grave goods and objects of personal significance buried with the deceased. Ahead, they see a huge door and try to open it. Celia sees some runes written on the door and then takes out her phone to take a snap. Regina says that she will go search somewhere else. Celia feels that she's seen these writings somewhere before and touches the door. The door suddenly opens. Celia goes inside and sees a huge crystal-like object. As she gets closer, her counter malfunctions and breaks. Celia sees a faint image of someone inside and decides to help them out. Linus arrives at some place and calls out to Roselia, saying he has finally found her. Roselia says that a millennium from now, when the stars fall from the heavens, a vessel for your power shall appear in the form of a human child. Linus continues by saying that he must find them. Roselia then leaves, saying as long as you remember. Back in the present, Linus gains consciousness inside the crystal due to Celia firing rounds at it. Celia persists in firing but to no avail. Linus gets annoyed at Celia for waking him and casts the spell, exploding the crystal and throwing Celia back from the shockwave. Linus walks out and examines Celia, dumbfounded by her beauty. He assumes that she might be a high elf. Celia wakes up and sees Linus, asking how a child ended up in a place like this. Linus, surprised, takes a look at his hand and then his appearance in a crystal, noticing that he has been transformed into a human child from the era he was known as Linus, the hero. Celia asks Linus how he ended up here and then examines his body for injuries. Celia deduces that his memories must be fuzzy from the shock. Celia then hugs Linus, placing his head on her chest and saying, "Big sister will keep you safe." "Hey, yes, you, put your tongue away." Linus, buried in her bosom, says to himself how she could show such disrespect to a demon lord but then does a 360, saying that this is quite a pleasant sensation. Linus examines the food given to him by Celia. Linus says to himself that he might owe her life to this human girl. Celia asks him if he is feeling fine now. Celia then introduces herself as Rycelia Ray Cristalia, a swordsman in training and a member of the 18th Platoon at the 7th Assault Gardens Excalibur Academy. She is 15 years of age. Linus says to himself that besides her name and age, he didn't understand a thing. He continues thinking that he must use his appearance as a child to his advantage. Celia asks his name. Linus, in high hopes of his reputation being passed down, tells her that it is Linus Magnus. Celia, having no clue about his heritage, gives him a nickname, and Leo says that he has a cute name. Celia then asks his age. Leo responds, saying he is 10 years old. Celia asks if he was abducted by a void. Leo has no idea what she is saying, so Celia deduces that he might have amnesia. Elsewhere, Regina sees her counter acting up and then readies her weapon at some crystals. Celia explains that voids appeared 64 years ago and are the enemies of humanity. They do not know their objective or where they came from, and they call them voids for nothingness. Celia tells him that they came here to investigate the voids as they have a common occurrence in old ruins. Leo asks Celia what year of the Holy God calendar is this. Celia responds by saying that it is year 64 of the unified human calendar. They suddenly hear a huge thud shaking the ruins. Regina, on the comms, reports that she is engaged with a hostile void. Celia readies her weapon, and a massive void comes out, breaking the wall. Celia labels it as an ogre-class void. Celia fires at the void, but it has no effect. Leo goes close and tries to cast a spell but falls flat on his face. As the void is about to attack, Regina attacks it. Regina readies her holy sword again and chants Drag Blast to activate it, which fires. Regina tells them to escape while she handles the void. Leo and Celia head out but are stopped by a wyvern void. Celia tells Leo to run and readies her sword. Leo starts to cast a spell, but Celia pushes him to save him from the wyvern and is then slashed brutally by the wyvern, throwing her across the corridor. Celia, in a pool of blood, tells Leo to run away and then loses consciousness. Leo pities Selena and then recalls a moment of him with Roselia telling him that heroes are foolish and that he should join her. Multiple wyverns spawn. Leo, in anger, casts gravity magic and crushes one of the wyverns. He then makes quick work of the other two. However, Leo is surprised by the fact the voids haven't completely disintegrated, meaning he is very weak in this state. Leo then goes to the injured Celia and casts a spell that resurrects her, but she is seen acquiring fangs, and her eyes turn red. Celia heals completely. Leo hears a sound coming from Celia's ear and deduces it as a communication device. Celia wakes up surprised that she is healed. Leo explains that he used sorcery to heal her, but it seems she doesn't understand what sorcery. Celia asks if it is a holy sword of sorts. Celia explains that holy swords are powers acquired by humans to fight voids and appear randomly in children. She tells him that Regina's holy sword is Drag Howl and adds that the weapons embody the personality of the user. Celia says that she hasn't been blessed with a holy sword yet. Regina finally catches up with them and asks about their situation. Celia asks Leo about what happened with the voids. Leo decides to hide his powers and tells them the void suddenly disappears. They all then head out of the ruins. Celia tells Regina that Leo was kidnapped by the voids and is suffering from amnesia. They then arrive on their bikes and head on their way. Regina introduces herself to Leo as Celia's maid. Leo looks at Regina's chest as it bounces from the turbulence and then mentions that this kid is lewd for his age. Leo denies it, but Regina continues to tease him. A huge city comes into view. Celia explains that this is humanity's last stronghold built to resist the voids and the castle that houses the holy swordsmen and the blade they use to fight back. The 7th Assault Garden. 6 years ago at the 3rd Assault Garden, a fierce battle with the voids rages on while people in a shelter fear for their lives. But young Regina seems to be distressed due to the cannon fire. Celia reassures her saying not to worry as her father is fighting on the front lines. A tremor occurs, increasing the tension. Celia starts to yap to cope with the situation. Celia tells Regina that she will start training next week and asks her to join her. Regina agrees. Suddenly, another huge tremor occurs. After some time, the battle dies down, and people come out of the shelter to assess the situation. The city is devastated, and it is revealed that all 1,000 of the holy knights have been wiped out. Celia, in despair, falls to her knees and starts to cry. Back in the present, Celia and the others arrive at the city. Regina reveals that this place is a mega float that travels across the sea to destroy void colonies, and this is the mission assigned to this assault garden. Celia reports the events that occurred to her superiors. Celia then tells Leo that he will be living with them at the Excalibur Academy, where people are trained to become the holy swordsman. Regina leaves to go shopping. Celia tells Leo that he has to go through an examination gate as he is an outsider and that she will meet him at the exit and head out on her bike. Leo goes to the nearby bathroom and rages at the current state of events. He then summons Blackus, the wolf, and Sherry, his maid, from his shadow. This isn't a good spot for the urgent meeting, Lil Bro. The two greet them and ask about his appearance. Leo explains that the ritual didn't go according to plan and that he has been brought back into his human form. Sherry blushes and says that her master's new appearance is very adorable. Leo gets angry, and Sherry apologizes instantly. Leo tells them the current state of the world and says that they must analyze humanity's current strength before rebuilding the demon army, and then asks them to investigate this place. He explains that sorcery has died down in this world, so they must proceed with caution. Sherry asks what Leo will be doing. He says that he will be infiltrating the human education facility to gather intelligence and then tells them to get going. Leo enters the gate and starts to get examined by the facility. He goes through many tests and scans. Afterward, an ID card is created. Leo goes to grab it, but the card gets taken by Celia, who then explains that anyone who enrolls must register the properties of their holy sword, and once it is finished, he will receive an official student ID card. Leo says to himself that he will have to improvise and fool them. Celia then takes Leo for a tour of the academy. Leo mentions that this place is peaceful for being on the front lines. Celia explains the 7th Garden has always prevented voids from invading and that only holy swordsmen get deployed for fighting. They arrive at the academy. Celia tells him about the central command tower where all military affairs are handled. Leo is very surprised by the sheer size of the tower. Celia gives him a tour of all the facilities. As Celia and Leo make their way to the dorms, they bump into Musil Rhodes, a senior student who starts to criticize Celia, seeing marks of her wounds. Musil continues to pester Celia and then starts to pull her hair. Leo stares at Rhodes and then casts a spell, making him fall to his knees. Leo leans in near his ear and tells the uncultured swine that he will never let him lay a hand on Celia ever again. Bro, you are 10 years old. Rhodes activates his holy sword but is stopped in his tracks by a senior student, Fine, who asks him to leave the female dorms. Rhodes leaves. Fine apologizes for his behavior and then introduces herself to Leo as Elfine Fillet and says that she is in charge of Celia's platoon. Elfine says that she has taken his measurements using her holy sword orbs and will arrange a uniform for him. Elfine notices Celia's injuries, so Celia reassures her, saying Leo healed her injuries. Celia suddenly feels lightheaded and takes a tumble. Leo and Celia arrive at their dorm, Priestfelger. Leo mentions that this dorm is quite old compared to the ones they passed previously. Celia explains that teams get assigned dorms according to their achievements. They then go to Regina's room, see her sleeping, and then leave. They finally arrive at Celia's room. Leo asks if it is okay if he is in the female dorms. Celia shrugs it off, saying he is only a boy. Celia tells Leo that he can go use the bathroom. While Leo is in the bathroom, Celia asks Leo if he would be willing to join their platoon, and she starts taking off her clothes. Leo gets in the bath as he examines and admires the shower and soap. Celia enters the bathroom and startles Leo, saying he shouldn't use soap on his hair. Celia offers to wash Leo. Leo stays locked in while Celia washes him again and mentions what she said earlier about joining her platoon. Leo asks why she is so set on being on the battlefield. Celia gets a little stressed and says she doesn't want to be protected but to fight on the battlefield. Celia suddenly loses all strength and falls to the floor. Leo touches her leg, and then a mark appears. Celia's eyes turn red, and she gets up to suck Leo's blood using her fangs. Leo then reveals that he did not use a healing spell and that the old Rycelia Ray Crystalia is dead. 2 years ago, at the Excalibur Academy, as Celia is training, she is interrupted by Rhodes, who tells her she doesn't have to train and that she should join his platoon. Celia refuses, but Rhodes continues to pester her, saying she doesn't have a holy sword. Regina arrives and aims her holy sword at Rhodes. Rhodes leaves, saying holy swords are not to be used for private disputes. Regina reassures Celia, saying she won't have to worry about these guys when she awakens her holy sword, but Celia stresses if she will ever even get one. Celia wakes up, and Leo greets her. Celia asks Leo who he is. Leo starts to yap about how he is the reincarnation of an ancient sorcerer, and that in his era, magic was a skill that people themselves harnessed, and that is how he resurrected her as one of his minions. Leo tells her that she is now a vampire queen, the most prestigious type of undead. He continues that yesterday, her weakened state was due to a lack of blood, which is why she drank his blood. Leo apologizes, saying that was the only way to save her. Celia asks him if it is okay to tell him about her childhood. She tells him that when she was 9, voids attacked her hometown. It was a large-scale outbreak they call Stampede. Celia says that during the Stampede, all her family died as they were all holy swordsmen. She continues saying that she and Regina survived in the shelter and were then taken custody by the Excalibur Academy. She says that she took part in dangerous missions so that it may speed up the awakening process, but it never happened. Celia asks Leo if she is not alive and if she can still be blessed with a holy sword. Leo says he doesn't know, but she will be vastly stronger than before. Leo, in his uniform, heads to the cafeteria with Celia. Leo tells Celia that her eating food will not replenish much energy as she is a vampire. Celia suggests that she pick what he will eat. Leo agrees and then pulls out a gold coin from his shadow, saying he will pay for himself. Celia refuses, saying that this coin has no value here, leaving Leo embarrassed. Bro is basically a beggar lord too, right now. They are interrupted by a student wearing samurai attire being asked for money by 2 bouncers. The 2 try touching the girl but are attacked using her wooden sword. The 2 bouncers run away. Celia and Leo approach the girl, Sakuya, and ask her who those men are. Sakuya explained that they were bouncers from a casino and were here to collect, so she asked them to leave. Celia asks her about the makeup lessons she had. Sakuya apologizes that she couldn't join her on their mission and tells her that she went to the casino after her lessons but ended up a brokey. Celia tells Leo that Sakuya is their platoon's vanguard attacker and that she has slain several voids on her own. She then introduces herself to Leo as Sakuya Sieglin. Leo does the same. They all converse while having lunch. Leo tells Sakuya that her uniform is different from the other students. Sakuya explains that it is the formal attire of her homeland, Aurin, and a memento of her sister. Sakuya tells him that the Voids wiped out her clan, and she seeks vengeance. 2 students arrive, asking Sakuya to pay her back. Leo chuckles, seeing her gambling addiction. After lunch, Leo goes for an examination that will determine the type of holy sword he has. Leo summons his wicked staff of sins. The instructor asks him about the staff's ability type. Leo tells her it may be a support type and that it depends on the situation. The bots known as Void Simulators activate, and Celia tells him that he must fight them. Leo crushes them all with ease, leaving everyone dumbfounded. The instructor says this is a grave situation and must be tested further, but is interrupted by Rhodes saying that Leo could fight him instead. Rhodes boasts, saying a top-notch holy swordsman like himself should be qualified to test him. Leo agrees, and Rhodes activates his holy sword with his harem of women. Celia points out that saying 4 against 1 is unfair. Rhodes replies that the girls are part of his holy sword, touching their chests. Celia offers to fight with Leo, saying she is her guardian. Rhodes agrees on the condition that Celia must join his platoon. Leo agrees with a condition of his own that Rhodes must never mess with Celia ever again. Everyone agrees, and the battle begins. Celia, with her new strength, starts to overpower Rhodes and his harem. The fight is very one-sided, with Leo and Celia having the clear advantage. Celia makes quick work of the girls and goes to strike Rhodes but is stopped in her tracks. Rhodes uses a spell to cease her movement and throws her weapon out of her hand. Rhodes then goes towards Leo. Celia, however, starts acting up and keeps repeating that she must protect Leo. A weapon then starts to form in Celia's hands. Celia breaks free from her spell and then attacks Rhodes with her new holy sword, breaking his weapon, solidifying their victory. Rhodes surrenders and Celia celebrates her new sword with Regina. Back at the dorms, Celia thanks Leo. He tells her she doesn't need to, as she is one of her minions. She asks what a minion is. He tells her that minions exist to protect their masters. I thought it was about my 54 friend. Celia pats his head and tells him that she will always protect him. She then asks him to help her get stronger. Leo agrees, and they shake hands. The 18th platoon has a party celebrating Selena's awakening and Leo's induction. Everyone congratulates Celia. Elfine asks Leo to come by to her room as she needs to upload his biodata to the academy. Sakuya mentions where Leo will sleep. The other girls offer to let him sleep in theirs, but Celia gets jealous and stops them. Leo then says that, as she was the one who found him, he should stay in her room, so they all agree. Afterward, Leo goes to Elfine's room to get his biodata. Elfine explains that these orbs are her holy sword, eyes of which, and that they can collect, analyze, and transfer data for now. Leo asks why for now. She tells him she used to be an attacker in her previous platoon, but when her friends were killed by voids, she lost her original powers and couldn't fight anymore, but Celia invited her into her platoon. Elfine completed the registration. Leo then asks to see a map, and she gives him a tablet. Leo examines the map and deduces where death holds used to be and determines that there is a correlation between the locations of void outbreaks and where ancient battles had happened. He then summons his wolf Blackus for a report. He tells Leo that the humans are using a massive mana crystal to power their fortress. Leo says that it might be a valuable asset if he gets his hands on it, then sends Blackus away to continue his investigation. He then summons Sherry and she reports that no one in the city knows about him or the events that occurred 1,000 years ago. Sherry shows her jealousy of Celia, calling Leo dumb for making her his minion. Leo scolds and she quickly goes back into the shadow. Meanwhile, a group of scuba divers investigate a root-like entity underwater. The entity calls out the name Leonis and then attacks the scuba divers. Holy God, calendar years 432 at the Sidon Wastelands. A 16-year-old Leo is led by a quarry worker to a quarry that is supposedly being terrorized by gargoyles. After Leo arrives, the worker disappears, and he is then ambushed by several mercenaries and, after being subdued, is impaled by harpoons, ultimately killing him. The mercenaries mock his lifeless body and leave. Roselia arrives and criticizes the world for doing this to him and asks his opinion, but he gives an unenthusiastic answer. She then tells him she will be rebelling against the world and asks him to join her. He asks why. Roselia tells him she has taken a liking to him and asks him to be hers. Back in the present, Leo recalls his aim of tracking her down and restoring her Demon Lord army to its former glory once he was resurrected in 1,000 years. Leo orders a sleeping Celia to wake. She jolts awake as if levitating. Leo shows her a mark of authority and explains that he can order his minions as he wishes. Leo then shows her the bite marks on his neck and asks for an explanation. Celia says she only drank a little. Leo forgives her, saying he doesn't mind as she must be unable to control her urges at night, and asks her to just ask next time. Lil Bro done started ordering her around. Celia suddenly gets a call from Elfine saying that the higher-ups have called for a strategy meeting and explains that it might have to do something with the research team who went out on the marine survey. She says the investigation results haven't been added to the database and correlates this with the survey. Elfine says she'll inform her as soon as she hears something and hangs up. Elsewhere where the strategy meeting is being held, it is reported that approximately 11 hours ago, communications with the 13th platoon ceased in the vicinity of anchor number 4. They add, saying that void activity was detected but disappeared in 3 seconds. Division Commander Gylian mentions that void activity disappearing after a while is not unusual, but 3 seconds is way too fast, and asks if the sensors are malfunctioning. The team confirms they are working fine and even provides visuals, though blurry. The image is of a root-like entity. The team points out it might be a Void Lord and labels it UK6402. Is that the name of a medicine? Vite Leon, the chairman of the board, mentions that they mustn't forget about the tragedy that happened 6 years ago at the 3rd Assault Garden. Kylian replies saying it is due to that tragedy that they have drastically enhanced the defensive capabilities of the 7th Assault Garden and taken the priority to train holy swordsmen. Military advisor Bulger Valery adds that the civilians can evacuate to shelters calmly as they have done regular drills for a stampede. Vite mentions the demi-human ward and asks if they will induce panic or not, and says that if there is a possibility of a stampede they should move the city ahead of time. An analyst mentions it would be feasible to move as they have enough power from the mana crystal. Kylian mentions that the assault garden isn't made to run away from voids. Acting commander Castoros Nekio gets a call from the actual commander saying he's decided that they won't be relocating and has ordered an immediate follow-up investigation. Kylian responds that he will form a reconnaissance squad of their top 3 platoons. Celia continues her training with her newfound strength. Leo praises her sword skills and then tells her he will teach her sorcery soon too. He says that the best course of action will be to use her mana to strengthen her physique and turn it into a spell blade. Leo then summons skeleton minions to help Celia train. Celia makes quick work of them. Leo summons another horde of skeletons and continues to do so for a while. After Celia is exhausted, they stop training. Leo offers her some of his blood to replenish her energy, but she refuses. Celia then offers to treat Leo to lunch. Meanwhile, the follow-up investigation of the Marine survey is underway. Sakuya arrives at the dorm and sees Blackus. She praises his coat and fur and then claims him as her own, naming him Mr. Fluffy Wuffy Black Fur. Blackus growls in disgust, but Sakuya has no effect. He then ties a cloth around his neck as a makeshift collar and heads inside. There she meets the others and informs them about Blackus. Elfine offers Sakuya tea, and soon afterwards, she dozes off. Regina asks Elfine why she is working today. Elfine explains that she has been tasked with gathering intel, and that HQ has sent a recon squad to investigate the Marine survey. Celia and Leo arrive at a donut shop where Sherry is working. Sherry spies on them and gets jealous of Celia. Celia and Leo then head out after getting the donuts. They arrive at Sunny Spot House restaurant. A group of kids greets them. Celia explains that this is the kids' home and that she works here part-time sometimes. Seeing the orphan kids, Leo recalls his past and says that these kids have had a very different past than him. They enter and are greeted by Frenia, the owner. Leo recalls Deathhold and says that he doesn't have a place to protect anymore, unlike Celia who wishes to protect this place. Meanwhile, the recon squad arrives at their destination Anchor but finds nothing but remnants of damage. Back at the dorms, Elfine sees a massive reading of vibrations beneath the city's outer rim. Elsewhere at the power plant, 2 men enter a room and are greeted by roots all over the place and start to investigate. Back at the restaurant, the group has lunch while Leo has an uneasy feeling. Holy God, in calendar year 428, a walled city is being attacked by ogres. Ericale Doradios, a mage, suggests they should put an end to this within the city walls. He then casts a spell that starts scorching the skin of everyone in the city. A 12-year-old Leo, however, dispels the spell and says he doesn't want an entire city to be massacred and then be revived again. He then starts to attack the ogres, making quick work of them all. All the townspeople praise him, but Ericale says that Leo will end up digging his own grave with that power. At the Assault Garden, the UK6402 continues to venture deep inside. At the HQ, it was reported that the UK6402 had disappeared. Kylian says that it must have crystallized, so they must find and eliminate it before it manifests again. They are then told that a holy swordsman from the 18th platoon would like to share the results of her investigation. They accept her request, and Elfine reports that she has detected micro-vibrations in Block 62 of the controlled access area beneath the Assault Garden, and that at the same time and location, she has detected mono waveforms with very distinctive features. She explains that after further analysis, they do not align with a magical device. Rather, this data suggests that there is a presence of void activity in the Assault Garden. The research team confirms this and says that 6402 might have escaped from the cracks near the contact points of the anchors. They then report it is on the move again. Vite asks why it is not using magic. Elfine says that it might be purposely hiding its movements to sneak further into the city and asks if they have found a crystal indicating UK6402's disappearance. An alarm suddenly goes off, and they get a report that a thick root-like vegetation is growing in underground storeroom No. 226. At the dorms, Elfine tries to contact Celia but gets no response. Then, she sends out some of her drones to the Sunny Spot house. Back at the restaurant, a kid asks Leo if he can see his holy sword. Kisara tells the boy off. She then gives Leo a handkerchief and says while blushing that it is very cool that he can wield a holy sword and then runs off. At the HQ, Gullion reports that they have identified traces of UK-6402's presence in the maintenance tunnels. The investigation team suddenly gets attacked. They are then told that the Void has escaped. Elfine reports that there seems to be energy leaking from the supply line and that the amount lost correlates with the distance traveled by UK-6402. It is then assumed that UK-6402 might be heading towards the power plant. Elfine then says if UK-6402 is a Void Lord, it might cause a stampede from the massive energy reserves of the power plant. They then put the power plant security on high alert as UK-6402 starts to attack. Vita points Katoro's in charge and that they will regard UK-6402 as a Void Lord now. Castoro's orders that the garden will now shift into fortress mode to evacuate all civilians to the shelters and to prepare all military personnel for a stampede. At the restaurant, the kids continue to pester Leo to let him show them his holy sword. Celia tells him to show them a little peek. Leo agrees and says that he will show them a spectacular performance. Leo summons mini skeletons and then makes them do tricks. Bro is also running a part-time circus now. Meanwhile, at the power plant, UK-6402 reaches the mana crystal and power starts to fluctuate, signaling an evacuation. Leo and Celia rush outside and see the island going through a mode shift and hordes of voids spawning above the city, officially starting a stampede. Vite says that it will take around 3 days for help to arrive from the capital and asks if they can hold on. The instructor says that they have trained their holy swordsmen well, and that they will hold out for 3 days no matter what the cost. All platoons are given the order to fire at will, and the counterattack begins with turrets gunning down the voids. Elfine, Regia, and Sakuya also activate their holy swords and start to attack. Celia tells Leo that she can't get in touch with the academy and then runs off into the restaurant, saying that they have to get everyone to the shelters. Sherry spawns and reports that the city is being attacked by strange-looking monsters and asks for her orders. Leo orders Sherry to protect her minion and Celia's friends. Sherry says that she'd rather protect her lord instead. Leo lashes out at her, and she hurriedly returns to the shadow. Celia calls Leo to come inside as she lines up everyone to take them to the shelter. Leo tells her that it is too dangerous to come outside right now as voids fly down. Celia and Leo then go outside and start to fight the voids. Leo makes quick work of them using fire magic, but more start to spawn. Alfine and the others also continue to fight. Sakuya uses her Reikamaru to take down the horde of ogres. A Hydra-class void suddenly spawns. The city continues its counterattack as a Dragon-class void appears. Leo then asks Celia to protect him as he is going to cast a powerful spell. She is officially his mommy now. Leo casts Amixis Jirua, a level 10 spell of widespread destruction, and attacks the dragon, but it doesn't have much effect. Blackus spawns and starts to attack the dragon. Leo then casts Grand Mezaki's another level 10 spell and crushes the dragon easily. The ground suddenly starts to split apart, and roots come out to grab Celia. Leo goes to save her but is greeted by the root-like creature calling out his name. Leo recognizes the voice as Ericale de Gradios. In the year 434 of the Holy God calendar, Leo returns after a battle, meets Roselia, and gives her the war spoils. Roselia praises him, and Leo boasts that he has developed an assortment of powerful spells, that he has made a new friend Blackus Shadow Prince from the Shadow Kingdom, and that he allows his people to take shelter in his shadow when necessary. Roselia says that she would like to give him a gift to celebrate his victory. She takes his holy sword from his hero days and transforms it into a demon sword. Roselia explains that this blade cannot be drawn until a certain requirement has been met and that he is already aware of said condition. Back in the present, he encounters Ericale. He then attacks, but the creature runs away. Leo looks at his mark of control, ensuring him that Celia is still alive. Leo understands that Ericale's goal is to lure him out and says that he will play his game. Blackus emerges from the shadow and says that their mortal enemy has come back to life. Leo says that he is vastly different from before and has become a void leader. Leo says that if Ericale has been resurrected, that must mean Roselia must be alive somewhere as well. Blackus then notices the kids from the restaurant and questions what they are doing outside. Leo tells them that they will be safer inside. Tassara then thanks Leo for saving them and tells him to go save Celia. Leo is surprised to see them not being disgusted by his power. Leo then pats her head and tells her to leave everything to him. Leo then casts a level 8 spell Zodama on the restaurant and summons some minions to keep them safe. These minions are like unpaid workers. Leo then hears a sound coming from Celia's communicator on the ground, asking for Celia. Alfine and the others continue their assault on the Hydra. Alfine again calls for help from Celia, reporting that they are engaged with a Hydra-class void of 100 meters. Leo replies saying that Celia has been taken by the voids and asks her to determine her location using her Holy Sword's tracking ability. Alfine tells him that it's too dangerous and that he should let the platoon in charge of the district handle it. Leo tells her that there is no one here. She says to wait a little longer, but Leo persists, saying it'll be too late by then. Elfine finally agrees and starts to track her biosignature. Elfine determines coordinates near the power plant block. Elfine is suddenly about to get attacked by the Hydra but is saved by Sherry from the shadows. Leo starts to make his way to the power plant. Blackus says that he is familiar with the place called the power plant. He then asks Leo why he has ordered Sherry to protect the humans. Leo says that Elfine's holy sword abilities are very useful, and that Regina is his minion's maid. Blackus says that his reasoning makes no sense and that he cannot fathom his reason for casting a defensive barrier around the restaurant. Leo finally gives in and says that he has taken a slight liking to the humans. Leo and Blackus finally arrive at the power plant and see the core engulfed in roots. Leo casts off Amadia to burn down the roots, but it has no effect. Leo praises his regenerative abilities. Ericale, surprised to see Leo, says that he thought he had perished a millennium ago. Leo boasts that Ericale is a fool and that he had not perished, just sealed away his soul. Ericale, however, says that Leo is the fool and the world has already changed and that it will be rebuilt along with the empty star. Leo asks what that is. Ericale continues his monologue that he has been chosen as the bringer of glad tidings. The roots start to manifest faces as they start to chant like a choir. Leo, surprised to see this, says that Ericale has assimilated the priests from the sacred order. Leo calls out to Celia as she struggles to be trapped in the roots. Leo and Blackus attack, but their attacks have little effect. Leo says that this is Ericale's domain and that their power is becoming less potent. Ericale then casts Lex Megiddo and attacks them. Leo counters with Arzum, however, Ericale blocks the attack easily. Leo then tells Blackus that things are about to get wild. Meanwhile, Celia struggles being trapped in the roots and then manifests her holy sword out of frustration. Leo continues his counterattack with Blackus. Celia's eyes turn red, and they use blades to pour out blood to cut the roots. Leo then throws something at Celia, and she becomes free and gains wings. They both reunite. Celia then shows him the thing he threw earlier, which was doused in blood. Leo tells her all she needs is a little push. Ericale gets furious and starts to cast multiple level 10 spells. Blackus explains that this attack will wipe out the whole city and Ericale himself. Leo tells Celia to keep him safe as he prepares something. Celia then uses her newfound powers to attack. Leo goes up into the air and says that he has gotten back his minion and has no reason to be discreet anymore. Blackus warns him of the ramifications involved and tells him to make sure it is more than just a passing fancy. Leo recalls the moment he acquired the demon sword. Ro has Alzheimer actually. Rosleia tells him that this sword will call his truth into question, and he has retained its will as his holy sword. By her blessing, it is not the demon sword. She says that its power remains sealed, and a condition must be fulfilled to harness it. Leo recalls the condition of protecting his kingdom, draws the sword, and chants, "Hear me. I wish to possess thy power for myself. Therefore, I claim this land to be my own. The 7th Assault Garden shall Hec 40 belong to the undead king. Thus all who reside here shall become my subjects, people I am bound to protect." He recalls what Roselia had said. "Thou art the blade forged to rebel against the heavens, meant to destroy the world. A wicked blade, blessed by a goddess. With thee at my side, I shall bring my enemies to ruin. And thy name, fallen to darkness, is the demon sword, Daneslave." Leo harnesses the sword's power and uses the secret technique Ragnalos to attack Ericale, obliterating him. All void activity slows, and the stampede dies down. HQ assumes that the Void Lord met its demise from a power meltdown. Leo and Celia come out of a manhole as Elfine, and the others greet them, celebrating their reunion. Leo lays on the bed in pain as he recovers from mana overuse. Celia brings him a sandwich and a medal that the kids from Sunny Spot made for him. Celia then tells him that her holy sword consumes a lot of blood and asks if she can have some. Leo teases her, saying what happened to her self-control, but then agrees, and he offers her his finger. Celia starts to suck on his finger, but they are then interrupted by the others. Celia tries to explain but has no avail. They all look at her with disgust as Elfine says that these activities are forbidden within the dorms. Meanwhile, inside a ship, a princess heads toward the assault garden. The city suffered greatly due to the voids, but restoration is already underway. The power plant was also damaged, so solar panels are being used until they are repaired. Leo tries to access a vault but is denied. An owl spirit tells him that vault access must be authorized by the Administration Bureau after a review of his credit info, criminal record, personal history, and academic performance. Leo is then greeted by Regina, and he tells her he wants to do some research on the ancient language written over the ruins he was trapped in to help regain his memory. Regina tells him to let her handle this, do something for the spirit, and gain access. Leo asks if she is a spirit medium, but she says that it was just a parlor trick and that the Philip Foundation is the company that manufactures artificial elements. Leo then asks what happened to all real spirits. Regina says that they were all gone by the time the Void invasion started, but they might still live in Old Forest. Regina then finds him in the ancient text section. They both get a text inviting their platoon to a commendation ceremony that will take place on the SS Hyperion and will be hosted by the 4th Imperial Princess, Alteria Ray Ultries. Leo then gets a call from Celia asking about lunch, and he tells her to meet him at the harbor later. A group of demi-humans plan to kidnap Princess Alteria in order to free their brethren imprisoned in the Imperial capital. Elsa, a goblin, asks them how they will counter the humans' holy swords. They are then interrupted by a dark elf saying that the Alpha Wolf Alliance is lacking in the solidarity department. She tells them that she will offer them assistance. Being a demi-human herself, she resents humans. She then tells them she will bestow power upon them that surpasses a holy sword and then manifests a spear and transfers its powers to one of them, Bastia Colossus the Black Lion. Bastia feels a surge of power, manifests a sword, and easily cuts a tree down. The elf explains that these aren't holy swords but rather demon swords granted by the goddess. She then tells them anyone with the necessary skills will get one and suggests they hijack the Hyperion along with the princess. The elf then asks them one request. The goddess requires sacrifices, so they must allow the holy swordsman to live and deliver them to her. Bastia asks the elf her name. She introduces herself as Sharnak, a witch of the ever-dark forest. Leo arrives at the harbor and admires the docked battleship. Leo goes to the stalls to look at the goods and asks for a bracelet. The merchant tells him that this bracelet was handcrafted by elves. Leo gets confused, and the merchant explains that the demi-human ward consists of all sorts of demi-humans, like elves, werewolves, and lions. Princess Alteria waves at the people from her battleship while she scans the area looking for someone. Elsewhere, Regina monitors the princess from afar. Leo meets up with the others and then gives Celia a keychain as a token of his appreciation. Celia thanked him and then teased him, saying that doing this kind of stuff is how you end up being a demon lord in bed. As they start to go to board the ship, Leo asks why Regina is not coming with them. The others hesitate and then tell him that she must her circumstances. They are then interrupted by Fenris, who teases them for being lazy. Celia gets angry, but Elfine stops her. As she is about to leave, Fenris congratulates Celia on acquiring a holy sword. Leo asks Celia who she is. Celia tells her she is Fenris Edelritz and that they've known each other since childhood. On the ship, the demi-humans attack some of the guards and then use a special blade to cut off their faces and then use them as masks to disguise themselves as the humans. As Leo rests on the ship, he examines a document and deduces that someone has been covering up history as there are no signs of the heroes or demon lords. Sherry appears and reports that the ship is powered by a mana crystal, and that its defenses are similar to that of the assault garden, equipped with weapons capable of flying through the air, including artillery and autocannons. As Sherry is about to leave, Leo stops her and gives her a churro as a gift. Seeing her not very satisfied, Leo tells her off, and she quickly returns to his shadow. Leo is then greeted by Celia and Tessara in swimsuits and is then invited to come swim with them. Leo tries to decline, saying that he doesn't have a swimsuit and that the human body isn't designed to float on water. Celia, however, shows swimming trunks in her hands and tells him she will coach him on how to swim. Leo is then given a swimming lesson while the kids play in the pool. Episode 8 of the series starts with a new backstory about Regina Ray Ultries. Yeah, that's her full name. She was born on a night when a red star, known as the Scarlet Calamity, was visible in the sky. This star symbolizes bad luck. According to custom, children of the royal family should not be born when that star is present in the sky, but she lied. Regina reveals that her platoon mates only know about this secret. She tells Leo that she came here just to see her sister, but from afar, however, that little dude started his own lore. Leo asks if the spirit belongs to Princess Alteria, and Regina explains that members of the royal family possess the spirit medium abilities of the princess priestess. The carbuncle in her hand is a source of spirit that allows them to control the ship. Leo uses his big brain and says if the ship is moving despite the separation of the spirit and the princess, there is something wrong. He, after thinking, says that she's being held hostage by a group of demi-humans, and they have also taken the banquet hall, which shocks her. He reveals that Celia and the others are handling it, and they can go and save the princess. She agrees and uses the little guy to lead the way, and they start chasing Carbuncle. The screen shifts to Celia and her team, who have surrendered now to demi-humans. The demi-humans threatened them that if they tried to use their holy swords, there would be a big explosion. Alphine whispers in Celia's ear that she has analyzed the characteristics of the bomb, and one of her drones is hidden, which they have not noticed yet. She tells her the best she can do is delay the explosion, and she needs 1 second to do that. Celia gives her a word for buying her time. She stabs herself with a pin. Back to Leo and Regina. They arrive at the command center of the ship where the pilots are knocked out. They also find out that they have blocked the ship so it can't be steered. Now the only way to find the princess is if Regina uses her royal powers. She agrees and uses her carbuncle. She contacts her sister, and the princess becomes shocked. Regina introduces herself as a spirit medium who was just passing by. The princess reveals the location they are heading to, and she tells her to not be worried about her but prioritize the ship. She tells her that the ship is heading to a void reef and gives her the access code to control the ship. Leo leaves to save the princess while Regina stays behind to control the ship. Back to the hostages and Celia. She alarms Orphan to use her power when she gives her the signal, after creating a huge fake scene as a distraction. Orphan, with the help of the other girls, uses her power to defeat the demi-humans. After everything is brought under control, Sakuya asks if the kid is alright. Celia suddenly tries to make contact but receives no response. A hostage informs them that something strange is happening outside. They soon discover they are in the middle of a void reef and are attacked by voids emerging from the water. As the Infinity War starts and the girls defend themselves while the hostages move to a safe zone, Celia hears the voice of Leo. He tells her that he's using the cat chain to communicate with her telepathically, and he asks her about the situation above. She explains that they got rid of demi-humans, but the voids showed up. He tells her that Regina is on her way to the monitoring system of the ship, trying to regain control. He also tells her to go and help her, but Celia resists because she also has to help the hostages. Finally, he finds the princess and tells her that he'll handle the voids and she should help Regina. The other demi-humans are taking the princess to a weird place, and they tell her that she'll be a plaything for some sadists now. Celia saves Regina from voids, while the girls are still fighting with the other voids. Suddenly, a brain eater appears. No, not your girl. Sakuya decides to fight the brain eater while the girls handle the voids. Celia and Regina access the control by using the access code Scarlet Calamity. She expresses that this name is of a gross star for her, but they are also the words that she can't forget. After using the code, she finally accesses the control and changes it. On the other side, a demi-human betrays her partner, who is then killed by a void. She escapes with the princess on a helicopter. The princess notices that the ship's direction is changing and becomes happy while the helicopter gets stuck before elevating. It is revealed that Leo is behind this downfall of her. He starts yapping like he's the hero, forgetting he's the demon lord. Bro thinks he's in the team. Back to the girl fighting voids and saving hostages. A child comforts her crying brother, telling him that Leo will soon save them. In an instant, all the voids are sliced apart, and it's revealed that the magic behind this is Sherry's. She complains that her master always pushes her too hard, but she also expresses her love for him. Sakuya, now exhausted, had fought the brain eater alone. At the heliport, the demi-human confronts Leo and asks about his identity. He reveals that he is the demon lord. Furious at him for joking like that, she casts a spell on him, but he effortlessly dispels it using his power. After this, she figures out that he is actually the demon lord. He starts to torture her to get information, but soon, the Void Lord himself appears. He tries to attack the Void Lord but can't hurt much. The Void Lord shows his teleportation abilities, and it gets teleported to the princess inside the helicopter. Leo tries his best to keep it away from her, but soon, her sister completes her meditation, and the machine starts to attack the Void Lord. And out of nowhere, Celia comes inside a missile which shocks Leo. She tells him that it is the fastest and coolest way to arrive, and Regina tells her to do that. More voids start to appear while the machine guns are attacking the Void Lord. Leo asks her to buy him some time, and she vows to protect him. She starts killing the voids, and Leo starts casting a spell like a SAP Rocky. Leo uses the spell on his sword, and it gets a new black flame. He uses his technique, Ragna Lost, on the Void Lord, which eliminates both the Void Lord and the voids from the ship. The dark sky clears, and the sun comes up. At Celia's place, more and more crows are appearing, and she is worried about that. She explains that Leo told her that the animals in Darkness Domain tend to flock to vampires and expresses that she wants them to go away. After a while, she goes to Leo's room and finds Sherry there and starts to think that she is tweaking, so she rubs her eyes and disappears. After realizing Leo isn't in his room, she decides to take a shower before heading out to find him. While she's showering, Leo spawns in his room. He starts to think that everything is going well, having successfully recruited all remaining members of the demi-humans, and he's close to rebuilding his demonic army. Leo goes to Celia's room, only to find her in the middle of changing clothes. Regina soon appears as well. After he beat the allegations, the three of them sit together to eat. They start to yap, and Regina mentions that there's something unusual happening, including sightings of crows, a huge black dog, and a ghost girl in the dorm. Celia joins in, confirming she also saw the ghost girl in Leo's room. She then asks him where he was that morning. He lies, saying he went out for training for today's match and that he didn't want to let Celia down. Celia, delighted, expresses her excitement for the match, as it will be her first time using her holy sword. After some time, the match starts. Leo and Celia are performing great, and everybody is impressed, but soon Fenris appears and attacks them. Fenris starts to troll and heat Celia up, which starts a fight between them. Both are now fighting for the winning spot, and soon Celia will defeat her. After finally winning the match, they all are bathing together. Yeah, that's right, Leo too. After a bit of yap, they vow to grow and improve as a team. Meanwhile, somewhere else, the Void Lord is cooking something new. At night, the 18th platoon is called in for an emergency mission. They discovered a new Void territory located in Celia's and Regina's hometown, which had been destroyed years ago. It is revealed that the Voids are on the move and might reach the city in 7 days, and there could be survivors. The platoon's new mission is to search for any survivors and investigate the distress signal. Orphan asks why they were chosen for this mission, and they are told it was the Administration Bureau's decision. Orphan questions if it's because Celia survived the third assault garden incident as the last living member of the Duke Cristelia family. Meanwhile, Leo reflects that humans haven't changed since his downfall. They always seek a hero. Celia requests to keep Leo off the mission, arguing that he is only 10 years old, but he interrupts her and assures her that he is also part of the 18th platoon. The next day, they go for the mission while Leo is having a secret meeting with Sherry and Blackus. He expresses that something is odd. He orders Blackus to keep an eye on his kingdom while he's gone because he's the only one he can trust in this matter, and he orders Sherry to accompany him. They finally leave for the mission in an aircraft. On the aircraft, it is announced that they can rest until they arrive at their destination. Regina offers Leo her lap and suggests he take a nap, but Celia argues that as his guardian, he should nap in her lap instead. Despite the argument, Regina takes Leo and, after showing him an ear pick, begins to clean his ears forcefully. While he is resting on her lap and getting his ears cleaned, he starts to remember his pleasant memories of when he was the emperor. Soon he wakes up in Celia's lap, who tells him that she switched places with Regina. Regina tells him that they are almost at their destination. They are unable to see much from above because of the thick sea fog. After landing there, they find the city destroyed badly. Celia decides that Leo and she will head for the central garden to investigate the power plant while Orphan. Leo calls Sherry and instructs her to escort the other 3 girls. Sherry complains that she thought her role was to protect Leo himself, not the girls. Leo, irritated, reprimands her, and she reluctantly accepts the new orders. Suddenly, Celia gets shocked after looking at a place, and Leo asks her the reason. She tells him that at that place, there used to be a cafe with a yellow roof. She used to love their cakes as a child. She then continues about the places she used to visit, but somehow all are gone now. Soon, the device alarms them about the approaching voids. Suddenly, they are hit by a beam but manage to dodge it. The beam continues, and something falls on Celia. A huge void responsible for the attack then appears. A girl spawns 1,000 years in the future. She is surprised by the new technology and the lack of trees and plants around. She doesn't understand the situation and steals clothes from an abandoned shop. Her name is revealed to be Arl Curlizio. She says that if she has been sent to this place, it means the goddess is going to be reborn here. She feels that the land is moving instead of the sky. She sees a plane and thinks it is a dragon. Somebody from behind tells her that it's a transport of humans. He praises her and calls her the great elf hero. After this, he introduces himself as Nefekas, the Void Lord. She tells her that she is not interested in his name, and then she asks him how he knows about her identity and if he is also from the past. He responds by saying that while the situation is dire, they both have different objectives. With an evil face, she instantly attacks him, saying that she will kill him. He dodges and disappears, but soon reveals his true form, which is like an aircraft. Celia is trapped under a large object that fell on her, and the Void Lord seizes the opportunity to attack. However, Leo saves her by using his magic to transport her to a different location. The fight between the Demon Lord and the Void Lord begins, and Leo soon realizes that the Void Lord is imitating an angel. He trying to be an angel so bad. From afar, Orphan, Sakuya, and Regina see the magic of Void Lord and Leo. The battle between Leo and the Void Lord is getting intense, but after a while, he finally catches and hits with a huge magic blast. He runs towards Celia, who is hurt, and tells her that he managed to defeat him. Celia tries to stand up but is unable to. He stops her and tells her that even with a vampire queen's healing abilities, it is going to take some time for this serious injury. Leo starts to think that they need to hide somewhere now and can't take the risk if more voids show up. While he is thinking, he sees a group of shadows. He stands up for the attack, but Celia stops him after she sees the Duke's family crest on their clothes. She sees the head of the Order of House Cristelia, William Richmond. He greets her and introduces himself to her. He tells her that he doesn't have a physical body, but he is on her side. He also reveals that they were behind the distress signal. He explains that they are not seeking help, but they wanted to send a warning. They want things to be changed a bit because otherwise, history is going to repeat itself. He reveals that a new Void Lord has appeared in the ruins, and he can control others. He also discloses that the Void Lord has fused himself with the city's power plant and is now using the city's energy. Celia advises that they should all go and check the place, but her injuries force her to stay quiet. Leo advises her to rest and relax. William invites her to use the mansion to rest and tells her that he has already arranged a car for her, which was fast. He reveals that he made these preparations as soon as he learned she was coming. Leo explains the science behind these ghosts to Celia, that they all are a form of mana that has been separated from their body. However, he also tells her that it is very difficult for him to trust them too. The cars are rusty and difficult to move, so Leo surprises everyone with his magical horses. Leo tells her that his horses are also Underworld Derby champion. The other girls finally arrive and start to wonder if the battle has ended because of the quietness. Sakuya stops all of them after she sees someone. It turns out to be Arl, hiding behind a street light. They think she's a survivor and begin to ask about her well-being. She instantly attacks them, but Sakuya manages to save everyone and warns them to be cautious, noting that Arl is skilled with swords. She also tells the other two that they won't stand a chance against her. Nah, the disrespect is insane. A one-on-one battle between Sakuya and Arl begins. Arl asks if Sakuya is a member of his party. Alphine and Regina become confused and ask if she's the one who sent the signal. The one-on-one gets intense, and Arl gets defeated quickly. Somewhere else, Nefekes, the Void Lord, is observing power in a statue while smirking. Suddenly, the statue begins to speak. In the car, Celia tells Leo that she is feeling better, but she suddenly asks Leo if she needs her blood. Leo accepts the request, telling her that she needs blood after healing from a major injury, but she immediately falls on him and starts to suck his blood. While she is sucking his blood, Celia is contacted by Alphine through the seal, which brings her back to her senses. Alphine asks if she is okay, noting that her voice sounds shaky. She then inquires about the void they encountered earlier. Celia explains that they are fine and manage to take it down. She also reports to Alphine that the Void Lord is hiding somewhere in the city and demands that they regroup for safety. Alphine tells her that after healing the survivor, which is Arl, they will meet. Leo and Alphine are shocked that they found a survivor, to which Alphine replies that she'll explain everything later. They decide the meetup spot to be Crystalia Estate. After they are done talking, Leo complains to her that if she drinks her blood too much, he might pass out. She apologizes but again requests to drink his blood. "Are you serious, bro?" Leo stops her and says that he has something important that he wants to give her. He reveals a dress, the true ancestor dress, and has the ability to convert a vampire queen's mana into physical strength. Regina is bandaging and treating Arl's wounds. It is revealed that Arl was already injured before her fight with Sakuya. Sakuya brings her some new clothes, and both of them introduce themselves. Regina then asks why Arl attacked them. Arl explains that her enemy has the capability of controlling monsters, and she thought they were his allies. Regina confirms if by monsters she means voids, to which Arl replies that she doesn't know what they are called. Leo and Celia finally arrive at the mansion. Celia sees the places and starts to remember her childhood memories. They go inside the mansion. The mansion from the outside is broken, but from the inside, it is still in 10/10 condition. Leo sees a royal chair and sits on it. Then he starts to remember the old nostalgic times when he was the demon lord who used to sit on his throne all day like an unemployed fella. The more Celia roams around the mansion, the more emotional she becomes. She reaches her father's room, which is somehow in disrepair, and starts to cry. The ghosts use their power to restore the room to its past state, and she begins to see a scene from her childhood with her father. He is telling her a story about the demon lord and the hero and how the hero defeated the demon lord. The projection disappears as Nefekes spawns into the room. "Who invited my blood?" Celia asks him if he's a survivor. Nefekes starts tripping at being called a human and attacks her, declaring that he's going to kill her. He casts a fireball at her, and as Celia screams, Leo becomes cautious. Celia, knocked out by the fireball, unconsciously remembering old memories. As a child, she argues with her father to take her with him. He replies that she should go with Regina and the others under William's escort. She starts to pout and insists that he should come with them too, but he turns her down by saying he has to fight. He asks if she hasn't forgotten what he has taught her, which is to protect every person in this city. He tells her after she awakes her holy sword, she can join him in the fights too. After that, she comes to her senses. Nefekes yaps about his power levels, claiming he can kill a giant with just his level 3 ability. He is soon shocked to see undead creatures being summoned, which appear to be on Celia's side. They tell her that she isn't injured and that they will protect her. Nefekes, surprised that she can summon undead beings, admits he underestimated her. He increases his power level from 3 to 6, intending to hurt Celia again, but is soon hit by a blast from Leo. Celia asks Leo about the undead humans, and Leo reveals that they are the good luck charms that he gave her. The undead humans introduce themselves: Amilus, swordsman of the Ninth Circle; Dorog, champion of the Inferno; Nepheskel, wizard of the spirit world. They are the heroic three warriors of Rognus, but soon they begin to argue over who saved Celia's life and who deserves the credit. Nephekes returns, surprising Leo, and comments that Leo would have been turned to ash if he were a normal human. Nephekes then attacks Leo with a blast, but Leo counters and overpowers him with his own attack. Leo confronts Nephekes and asks him what he wants. As they talk, a quake shakes the area. Nephekes laughs and informs Leo that Saint Terrace has fulfilled her duty and devoured the offerings. He reveals that the saint is the goddess vessel, and now the goddess has returned to life. He opens a portal and tells him that now he doesn't have to do anything, and this world was created only to get shattered into pieces by the hands of the goddess. Then he disappears like she did from my life. Celia arrives and asks Leo about Nephekes and the goddess. Soon, the earth shakes more violently, and a light begins to emanate from a location, forming a symbol in the sky. Amylas comes and advises Leo to flee from the place, and as they move, a huge giant creature comes out of the place. William and the ghosts reappear and tell Celia that it is the ghost they were telling her about before. Leo confirms that the creature is somehow connected to Saint Terrace Resurrection, one of the 6 heroes. From afar, Regina informs everyone about the appearance of voids and a void lord-type creature in the city. They've lost contact with Celia. Sakuya gives Arl some snacks, tells her to stay safe, and then leaves. Elfine's drone in the aircraft launches a signal for help, and the huge creature starts moving, generating countless voids. Celia draws her sword for safety while Elfine and the girls are hiding in a shop accepting their fate. Elfine says that she has requested backup and advised evacuation, but she accepts that this is not a possible option. Sakuya says that defeating the Void Lord is their only option. They decide to regroup with Celia and Leo. Meanwhile, Celia is slashing the voids, but the voids are so powerful that they regenerate and become kind of immortal. Leo reveals that to kill them, you have to attack their heads. On the other side, Elfine also uses her scan and finds out the same information. Everyone starts to easily kill the voids now. Elfine's drones locate 2 bikes, and everyone heads to that location. Meanwhile, Leo engages in a battle with the Void Lord. He casts a massive fire blast and hits her with it, but to his surprise, she manages to survive. Leo becomes furious, realizing that she withstood a level 10 spell. She begins casting a massive spell and unleashes a barrage of fireballs, turning the entire area into a fiery hellscape. Arl, from a distance, confirms that it is a level 11 destruction spell called Nemesis. The girls arrive at the location but are shocked after seeing the fire everywhere. Leo instructs Celia to protect him as he prepares to kill the Void Lord. The undead humans rally around her as well. Leo leaps high into the air and wields his demon sword, Daneslave, aiming to eliminate the 6 heroes. However, the Void Lord invisibly stops his attack. Suddenly, the Void Lord speaks to him, and to his shock, the voice is unmistakably that of Roselia. Leo is utterly shocked upon hearing Roselia's voice coming from the Void Lord, telling him that he can't kill her. Despite this, he goes berserk, unleashing his full power and attacking with his sword. However, the Void Lord blocks his assault once again. In defense, the massive Void Lord unleashes a barrage of arrows, injuring everyone in its path. One of the arrows strikes Leo in the belly, causing him to pass out and bleed. Celia tries to go to Leo. You had only one job, Celia. The Void Lord again starts to cast a spell on Leo, and Celia instantly gets mad and uses her dress that Leo gave her. She turns into a new Celia and hits the Void Lord with an attack, which makes the Void Lord pass out too. Celia returns back to Leo and holds him. Leo is getting a past memory of him and Roselia, telling her that if she disappears, he'll track her down, even if it means searching every hidden corner of the world. He won't rest until he finds her. He was basically down bad here. He also tells Roselia that a demon lord doesn't go back on his word. The episode concludes with Celia healing him, holding her hand over her chest as she tends to his wounds. The last episode of the series starts with that same memory, and he wakes up remembering that Roselia told him to find the real her if she got lost, and the demon sword will guide him to his true fate. He realizes if the sword has this power, then it can't kill the real Roselia. He wants to put an end to the fake goddess now, who is somehow regenerating after Celia's attack. Leo gets up. Celia asks him if he's okay. He replies that he's fine after she shared her blood with him and saved his life. He realizes that sharing of blood might be the reason for unlocking this memory. Leo requests Celia to give a piece of her dress to him so he can mend it with his clothes. Bro, you are not a fashion designer, please understand the situation. She tears her dress and he uses that piece. After that, he promises to kill the Void Lord this time. He asks her to back him up. He reveals that he has used his power, so he can only one time again use the powers. But William appears again and tells him to use their souls as an energy source. They also offer the souls of every citizen that died. They ask him to grant their last wish and he accepts. He spawns new skeletons and fits the souls into them, allowing them to fight as well. He appoints Celia as their leader, instructing them to handle the situation until he can gather enough time to charge his sword again. Leo finally unleashes a massive dark blast but mentions that he needs more time. However, the Void Lord counters by casting another powerful spell, once again turning the place into a fiery inferno with a barrage of fireballs. Celia uses her powers and saves everyone. She carries Leo in the air just so he can stay safe. Leo's spell is consuming dead citizens' souls. The girls encounter a massive void that nearly kills them all, but they are saved just in time by Sherry again. While Leo's spell grows stronger by consuming souls, the Void Lord throws a building at him. Celia, however, destroys the building with her sword. Just as Leo is about to use his sword, the Void Lord casts a high-resistance protection spell on it. However, Leo's luck turns when the girls arrive. Combining their spells and Arl's spell, they attack the Void Lord and break through its shield. The Void Lord speaks in Roselia's voice again and tells Leo that putting a hand on the goddess is a grave sin and unforgettable. He replies that his swords know how to handle the fake creatures, and he hits the Void Lord with his demon sword. The Void Lord starts to scream. Celia remembers her father's words again that the Demon Lord will appear in their world when we need him most to defeat the voids for humans. The Void Lord disappears with the shade of darkness in the sky. The souls start to extract from the skeletons' bodies and farewell Celia, telling her that a knight's greatest pride is to fight by their master's side. Celia promises them to keep fighting for everyone's sake. They wish her the best and disappear. After a bit, she gets reunited with Regina, Elfine, and Sakuya with Arl on her back. Leo sees her and gets shocked. Soon, the aircraft arrives. It is pretty useless now, isn't it? Now they are going back. Leo starts to think that she must be behind breaking the Void Lord's protection spell. He starts to wonder what is this elf hero is doing here. Celia asks Leo if something is wrong. Noting that he looks down, Leo brushes it off as nothing and inquires about the book she's reading. Celia explains that she took it from her father's shelf, and it's about the Demon Lord. Leo confirms that it's just a fairy tale. He then asks her what happens at the end of the story. Celia tells him that the hero defeats the Demon King, and everyone starts to live happily ever after. After returning home, Leo tells everything to Blackus. Blackus tells him more about Nephikas, that he was an esteemed retainer of Master Azrael, one of the 8 Demon Lords. But 1,000 years ago, there was something dumb about him. Leo orders that the next time he reappears, they are going to kill him. Sherry tells him to be worried about the elf hero too. Leo asks Celia what she's doing in this era and if she's here to hurt him. The series ends with a child accidentally dropping popcorn on him, and Leo smiles. That was it from us. Thank you so much for watching the video. Do give your feedback in the comment box. We'll catch you guys in the next one.